Heute back ich, morgen brau ich, übermorgen hol ich der Königin ihr Kind. Ach, wie gut ist, dass niemand weiß, dass ich Rumpelstiltskin heiß.
Well, hello there, my little fairy tale fackwits. This is See You Next Time. Today we're diving into the world of magic, fantasy and folklore, and taking a look at the tale of Rumpelstiltskin. It's a German name which literally translates to Little Rattlestilt, with a stilt being a post or a pole which provides support for a structure. Therefore, a Rumpelstilt was the name for a canny little goblin who made noises by rattling posts or rapping on planks. The most well-known version of the story, and the one we'll be reading today, is from our friends Jacob and Wilhelm Grimm in 1857. This is where more recent incarnations, the likes of Shrek and Once Upon a Time for example, base their interpretations, typically focusing on Rumpelstiltskin being a right manipulative twat-weasel, giving with one hand while snatching what he wants with the other.
Have a nice day.
Although, you know what they say.
You can't cheat an honest man. So, if you bend the rules to make some easy money, you deserve what you get.
But while the 19th century versions are the most popular, the story itself is far, far older. There's some debate about it, but the lineage can be traced back around 4,000 years to around 2000 BCE. To put that in perspective, that makes it around 500 years older than the earliest Hindu scriptures, about 1,000 years older than Homer's Odyssey and the I Ching, and about 2.5 millennia older than the New Testament and the Quran. This also means it's only about 500 years younger than the pyramids at Giza, and makes it contemporary with the construction of Stonehenge, although admittedly that was built over a long-ass time. I don't know about you, but that kind of blows me away, and I guess it's a testament to the importance of storytelling. Anyway, shall we read it?
Are you sitting comfortably? Good. Then we'll begin.
Rumpelstiltskin by the Brothers Grimm. There once was a miller who was poor, but he had one beautiful daughter. It happened one day that he came to speak with the king, and, to give himself consequence, he told him that he had a daughter who could spin gold out of straw. The king said to the miller, "That is an art that pleases me well. If thy daughter is as clever as you say, bring her to my castle tomorrow, that I may put her to the proof." When the girl was brought in to him, he led her into a room that was quite full of straw, and gave her a wheel and a spindle, and said, "Now set to work, and if by the early morning thou hast not spun this straw to gold, thou shalt die." And he shut the door himself, and left her there alone. And so the poor miller's daughter was left there sitting, and could not think what to do for her life. She had no notion how to set to work to spin gold from straw, and her distress grew so great that she began to weep. Then, all at once, the door opened, and in came a little man who said, "Good evening, miller's daughter. Why are you crying?" "Oh," answered the girl, "I have to spin gold out of straw, and I don't understand the business." Then the little man said, "What will you give me if I spin it for you?" "My necklace," said the girl. The little man took the necklace, seated himself before the wheel, and whir, 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 3 times around, and the bobbin was full. Then he took up another, and whir, 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 3 times round, and that was full. And so he went on till the morning, when all the straw had been spun, and all the bobbins were full of gold. At sunrise came the king, and when he saw the gold he was astonished and very much rejoiced, for he was very avaricious. He had the miller's daughter taken into another room filled with straw, much bigger than the last, and told her that as she valued her life, she must spin it all in one night. The girl did not know what to do, so she began to cry, and the door opened, and the little man appeared and said, "What will you give me if I spin all this straw into gold?" "The ring from my finger," answered the girl. So the little man took the ring, and began again to send the wheel whirring round. And by the next morning all the straw was spun into glistening gold. The king was rejoiced beyond measure at the sight, but as he could never have enough of gold, he had the miller's daughter taken into a still larger room full of straw and said, "This too must be spun in one night, and if you accomplish it, you shall be my wife." For he thought, although she is but a miller's daughter, I am not likely to find anyone richer in the whole world. As soon as the girl was left alone, the little man appeared for the third time and said, "What will you give me if I spin the straw for you this time?" "I have nothing left to give," answered the girl. "Then you must promise me the first child you have after you are queen," said the little man. "But who knows whether that will happen?" thought the girl. But as she did not know what else to do in her necessity, she promised the little man what he desired, upon which he began to spin until all the straw was gold. And when in the morning the king came and found all done according to his wish, he caused the wedding to be held at once, and the miller's pretty daughter became a queen. In a year's time she brought a fine child into the world, and thought no more of the little man. But one day he came suddenly into her room and said, "Now give me what you promised me." The queen was terrified greatly, and offered the little man all the riches of the kingdom if he would only leave the child. But the little man said, "No, I would rather have something living than all the treasures of the world." Then the queen began to lament and to weep, so that the little man had pity upon her. "I will give you 3 days," said he, "and if at the end of that time you cannot tell me my name, you must give up the child to me." Then the queen spent the whole night in thinking over all the names that she had ever heard, and sent a messenger through the land to ask far and wide for all the names that could be found. And when the little man came next day, beginning with Caspar, Melchior, and Balthazar, she repeated all she knew and went through the whole list. But after each the little man said, "That is not my name." The second day the queen sent to inquire of all the neighbours what the servants were called, and told the little man all the most unusual and singular names, saying, "Perhaps you are called roast ribs, or sheepshanks, or spindleshanks." But he answered nothing but, "That is not my name." The third day the messenger came back again and said, "I have not been able to find one single new name, but as I passed through the woods I came to a high hill, and near it was a little house, and before the house burned a fire, and round the fire danced a comical little man, and he hopped on one leg and cried, 'Today do I bake, tomorrow I brew, the day after that the queen's child comes in, and oh, I am glad that nobody knew that the name I am called is Rumpelstiltskin.'" You cannot think how pleased the queen was to hear that name, and soon afterwards, when the little man walked in and said, "Now, Mrs. Queen, what is my name?" she said at first, "Are you called Jack?" "No," answered he. "Are you called Harry?" she asked again. "No," answered he. And then she said, "Perhaps your name is Rumpelstiltskin." "The devil told you that! The devil told you that!" cried the little man, and in his anger he stamped with his right foot so hard it went into the ground above his knee. Then he seized his left foot with both his hands in such a fury that he split in two, and there was an end of him. And there is, too, the end of our tale. So, Rumpelstiltskin, he's an odd wee fucker, isn't he? Turning up all nice and lovely, and just happens to be able to use a wheel and spindle to slam the atoms in straw together and generate the gold more traditionally formed in the heart of a supernova. Instead of building a fusion reactor beyond the scope of anything even imagined today, he uses this ability to pay for some shitty jewellery. It's clear that the major moral of this story is, don't waste planet-saving tech on getting sparkly trinkets you could have got from fucking Accessorize, you dickhead. And remember, most importantly, okay, maybe there's a couple more morals. Don't bullshit to make yourself feel important. Don't sell your daughter into servitude. And definitely don't dance around a fire gloating really loudly before the ink is dry. Afterwards, go nuts. Whip your kit off and wangle it about to your heart's content. Anyway, for now,
This conversation is over.
See you next time.